get the finals, folks. Suns, Bucks. Who wins it? Like we said, folks, we had our initial prediction at the start of the playoffs was Bucks versus Jazz in Bucks in 6. We had the Suns losing in the Western Conference Finals to the Jazz in 7. So, do we still stick with this Bucks team, or are we going to like the Suns a little bit better? So, let's talk about this series. So, we are going to talk about the series as if Giannis is going to play every single game. Because if Giannis isn't going to play, then we're just going to take the Suns in probably 6. But we are going to expect Giannis to play. Do we have any update on that? We know there is no structural damage in his knee. It's just all pain tolerance and how much he can handle. And he has a couple of more days. He has 2 days now between the start of before the start of Game 1. But let's go to NBA Fantasy Labs. I know it's real kind of early. Yeah, the last thing we have is just that he was ruled out for yesterday's game. But we are going to kind of expect that he goes, that he is going to play, folks. This is the finals. You just got to push through it. I know it's going to be a little painful. Obviously, we all saw, the injury looked to be, real worse than what it was, thankfully. All right, so here we go. Bucks, Suns. Who are we liking? Well, what do we like about the Bucks? Obviously, we like Giannis is so consistent, and Chris Middleton has really been coming alive a little bit late in this playoff series. Now, is Chris Middleton going to be truly reliable? That is still yet to be determined. He strung together like 3 good games against this Hawks series, but once again, it kind of finally came when there was like no Trae Young on the floor. So that was kind of, is he really that great, or is he just finally, he's kind of, the best player on the floor with no Giannis and no Trae Young, that he finally can just step it up a little bit. So we're not totally 100% sold that Chris Middleton is this kind of Batman player out here and truly that great. We like Drew Holiday. He's been real consistent. That's definitely a big plus for this Bucks team. And then another big plus for this Bucks team that just happened recently was the emergence of Brook Lopez. Once again, same thing with kind of Chris Middleton a little bit. He finally started to go beast mode. I mean, did you see him in Game 5 against the Hawks, putting up 33 points? And then we just talked about it, a plus 25 on the floor last night. So Brook Lopez is going to be, somebody you're going to have to lock up. And now that kind of brings us to the Suns. What do we like about this Suns team? Obviously, Chris Paul, once again, he went beast mode in that closeout game against the Clippers, putting up 40-plus points. You love to see that. But overall, the offense sometimes, periodically, looks a little stagnant with Chris Paul on the floor compared to what happened in that Suns-Clippers series with Chris Paul having COVID, or at least out because of the COVID. Whether he had it or not, who cares? Doesn't matter. When Cameron Payne was out on the starting 5, the starting point guard, the offense was kind of flowing and really solid, and then Chris Paul comes back, and we just saw glimpses of the offense be a little stagnant. Now, I'm not going to put too much weight into that. I think Chris Paul is going to get it done, so I don't think we have to worry about that. Devin Booker, solid, has kind of been consistent throughout this entire playoff run. He's had his big games, big closeout game against the Clippers where he put up 40 points. So they do have, this Suns team does have the ability to kind of put out this Bucks team. So if they ever get into like a 3-1 situation, a 3-2 situation, this Suns team is going to close it out. We've seen Devin Booker do it, and we've seen Chris Paul do it. Devin Booker do it, I think, against that Nuggets team. I think he put up 40 in Game 1 against the Clippers, and then Chris Paul put up 40-plus in the closeout game. So they can close out games and close out series. They swept the Nuggets easy peasy. And I think Devin Booker went big time. I think he went 40 once again during that Lakers closeout game. Let's get, do I have his stats up? No, let's go to Devin Booker just to make sure I am kind of saying all this right. And I believe I am. 99% sure I am. But, if we're going to go with this closeout narrative, I do kind of want to have these on point. So here we go. Closeout game against the Lakers, 47 points, folks. Absolutely fantastic. Then they sweep the Nuggets in 4. What did he have that fourth game? 34 points. Fantastic. Game 1 against the Clippers, 40 points. And then he wasn't the one that went beast mode for the closeout of the Clippers, but that was Chris Paul. So they have that ability. If they get into that 3-1 scenario, 3-2 situation, the Suns team is going to close out, folks. Devin Booker or Chris Paul, one of them will go beast mode and put up 30, 40 plus, and that's going to be the end of it. So that is something the Suns do have going for them there. Who else do the Suns have? We've got Mccall Bridges. All right, now let's talk about Deandre Ayton versus Brook Lopez, because we just saw Clint Capella versus Brook Lopez, and we've kind of seen Clint Capella get a little worse for wear as the playoffs progressed, and we'll kind of chalk that up to fatigue. We've been seeing fatigue in this playoff. Every player, every team, at least every team is having one player that's showing fatigue as this playoffs progress. Now, you can chalk that up to, only 1 day's rest in between. It's always go. We're not kind of knocking players for it. It's just a natural thing. It's happening. But how is DeAndre Ayton going to look? What was DeAndre Ayton kind of doing against that Clippers team? Kind of once again, up and down. What was it, that big game 2 game? Where Paul George, I think it was game 2, where Paul George missed both free throws and DeAndre Ayton has the game-winning dunk over Zubac, but then kind of Zubac gets his revenge in like game 4, having a real solid night. So we've kind of seen DeAndre Ayton kind of show the same thing that Clint Capella has. Real great in most of the games, but once again, the fatigue showing up here, because there's no reason that really DeAndre Ayton should have been getting kind of, slapped around a little bit by those Clippers bigs. I mean, we're talking about Zubac, folks. I mean, is he top 10? He's not tier 1 big in this league. DeAndre Ayton's tier 1. Clint Capella's tier 1. Brook Lopez, I think we have to put him in tier 1 now. So, this kind of big matchup, the Bucks truly kind of bringing it to the bigs. We've seen Brook Lopez have 2 extraordinary games to kind of close out that Hawks series, and we give them credit for that, and we give him credit for that. So how is DeAndre Ayton going to look? Is he going to kind of go the same path that Clint Capella went during this Bucks series? That's kind of a little knock on the Suns. I think I give the 5, unfortunately, to Brook Lopez. And how crazy is that we're saying that? Brook Lopez is going to be the best big remaining in the finals? Kinda. And the fact that Brook Lopez is having so much more success with Giannis out on the floor, how do we take that? How do we measure that? Because once again, we're kind of assuming that Giannis is going to play, but there is still a doubt that he doesn't play. So how do we truly judge what Brook Lopez is truly going to do? So we got Chris Paul, DeAndre, and Devin Booker. All right, let's talk about Jay Crowder now, because I'm a big fan of Jay Crowder. I think he's been great this entire playoff series. When he's hitting the 3, the Suns team goes from dangerous to extremely dangerous. Proceed with caution. That's just, Jay Crowder's game. He's a great defender. He's a great 4, and he can stretch the floor with the 3. But why we may be a little hesitant to take the Suns team is because, once again, we kind of just saw that. With this Hawks series with John Collins and Clint Capella, Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton. I mean, I would put those 4 or 5s real kind of similar in really everything that they do. And John Collins was kind of, once again, getting kind of, pushed around a little bit down low, allowing the big Brook Lopez to just go absolutely beast mode. These last 2 games, at least. So, can Jay Crowder do a little bit better than, John Collins? Can DeAndre Ayton do a little bit better than Clint Capella? I think overall, I give the slight edge to DeAndre Ayton and Jay Crowder over Clint Capella and John Collins. So that's a little bit of a green flag for the Suns team going to face this Bucks team. And then we got Mccall Bridges, a real solid 3 out here. What is he? Let's get his playoff totals up of what he's doing. Obviously, he's kind of, do we put him as the 3rd option, or the 5th option? Is Mccall Bridges the 5th option, folks, here for the Suns team? Chris Paul 1, Devin Booker 1, whoever you want to put 1, the other one's 2. So Chris Paul, we'll put Devin Booker 1, obviously. Devin Booker 1, Chris Paul 2, DeAndre Ayton 3, Jay Crowder 4, Mccall Bridges 5. Do you put Mccall Bridges 4? But, I mean, still, 4 or 5. So let's see what Mccall Bridges, let's just get his point totals up here. We'll just rally them off here. 10, 6, 6, 11, 13, 10, 23. This came against Denver Nuggets game 1. And we know the series wasn't even that competitive. So, him having his best game against the Nuggets, is that anything that we can sink our teeth into? So 23, then we get 16, 11, 14, 14, 5, 13, 6, 5, 9. So once again, Mccall Bridges not the best out here. How many minutes he's been playing? During this Clippers, 26, 39, 27, 23. So still getting hefty minutes out here. So once again, yeah, I would say that Mccall Bridges is probably the fifth option. Absolutely. I think we can definitely agree on that. So the starting five wise, let's try to break it down like this. If we're taking point guards, Drew Holiday or Chris Paul, we got to give it to Chris Paul. Chris Paul, lockdown defender. And, Drew Holiday, has he really faced that? Trae Young's good. He's young. Chris Paul, hardened veteran out here. So let's see if Drew Holiday can get this great scoring total. Let's read off Drew Holiday's stats. Shit. Let's go through his because he's been truly getting it done here for this Bucks team against this Atlanta series. So let's get up what he's been doing here in the playoffs, Drew Holiday. All right, here we go. Let's just read off this Hawks series. We got 33, 22, 6, a little bit of a down game. Unfortunately, they still win the game. How crazy is that? 19, 25, 27. So this man has truly been getting it done against the Hawks. What did he do against Brooklyn early? They had, they never had Kyrie. They had James Harden, injured James Harden. Unfortunate. He had 17, 13, 9, 14, 19, 21, 13. So once again, during that Brooklyn Nets series when James Harden was still on the floor and Kevin Durant, obviously Kevin Durant's not really going to be on him that much, but still kind of running into James Harden here and there. He wasn't that efficient. Then he goes to Trae Young and was truly great. Once again, we're not bashing Trae Young. Trae Young's great, but he is real young, 22. So Chris Paul is obviously going to have that advantage in this matchup. So he gives the Suns a point there at the point guard position. Chris Paul over Drew Holiday. Now let's go to the shooting guards. Devin Booker or Chris Middleton. I mean, folks, we even need to make this argument. It's Devin Booker, folks. Devin mother-loving Booker. Chris Middleton, he's real shaky, folks. Let's read off Chris Middleton's playoff totals here. Let's get him up. Because this man had one great game and everyone wants to call him Batman all of a sudden. I mean, folks, that's the most bizarre narrative that came out of left field I've ever seen. Calling Chris Middleton freaking Batman? It's way disrespectful to Batman himself. So let's see what Chris Middleton has done. We're just going to read off his point totals throughout the entire playoffs. Here we go. 27, 17, 22, 20, 13, 17. He had a 35-point game. Great. 19, 25, 38 against the Nets. Great. 23, 15, 15, 38 against the Hawks. 16, 26, 27. So he's real kind of spotty here. Let's read his kind of efficiency. We're going to read off his efficiency from game 1 to game 17 here. We got 45%, 80. Damn. But it was only on 5 shots, folks. I mean, what are we doing here? 50, 43, 26, 35, 48, 46, 36, 68%. That was really great on 16 shots. We'll take that. That was a 38-point game against the Nets. 34, 26, 46, 47, 35, 50, 45. So once again, real kind of nothing truly great here. This is not Batman by any means, folks. No way. 2 30-point games, 3 30-point games in 17 games. Y'all call that Batman? Nah, I'm not buying that. I'm taking Devin Booker 100% over Chris Middleton. 40-point games, closeout games, start of a series games, putting up 40 points. That's what we're talking about. So another point there for the Suns with Devin Booker. All right, let's go to the three with their threes, the small forwards. Mccall Bridges over PJ Tucker. Now, this is... Ooh, what do we call this one? Because PJ Tucker is a great defender. I mean, he wants to smoke. He wants to guard the kind of best player. He may go out and guard Devin Booker the entire game. This is a possibility, folks. I mean, he wanted Kevin Durant. He got Kevin Durant. So we'll see what PJ Tucker does for this series. But once again, we can't buy Mccall Bridges that much. He's an all right defender. I'm giving PJ Tucker a better defender than Mccall Bridges. And then, once again, PJ Tucker doesn't score. The man barely puts up any points. He barely takes any shots because he knows he can't make any of them. But same thing with Mccall Bridges. He takes the shots but doesn't make them. So I think I may give it to PJ Tucker over Mccall Bridges. And that Bucks beef, their defense with PJ Tucker, is pretty solid. So I'm going to give the first point there to Milwaukee. So we got kind of 2-1. Now we go to Giannis at the 4. Jay Crowder versus Giannis. I mean, that's real tough for Jay Crowder. I love his defense, but we're talking about Giannis, folks. We're talking about Yanban out there. Absolutely magnificent. Let's go to Jay Crowder and watch. Let's just see his kind of plus minus on the floor against some great players that he's faced throughout the playoffs. When he was facing, well, let's get it up real quick. Here we go. Let's just read his plus minuses. Against the Lakers when he was going up against Anthony Davis. We get plus 14, plus 6, minus 6, plus 21, plus 23. 0. So that's real solid against that Lakers team that had a couple of beef down low. But once again, Anthony Davis didn't play that much. So I think he played, 2 games? Did he get to 2 games? 3 games maybe? So once again, a little maybe inflated stats for Jay Crowder there. Then we get the Nuggets, plus 12, plus 20, plus 18, plus 16. In the 4 there. Who's the 4 on the Nuggets? It's been a while since we talked about the Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. is the 3. Jokic's the 5. We've got, Aaron Gordon. All right. Once again, Aaron Gordon doesn't score that often. He's not the best 4 out there. I'm taking, do I say this? Do I say I'm taking Jay Crowder over Aaron Gordon any day of the week? It's real close. I think I may. All right, then we get the Clippers, where he was going up against Marcus Morris most of the time. Basically just Marcus Morris. So here we go. Let's read off his plus minus here. Minus 12, minus 2, minus 17, plus 4, minus 11, plus 19. So as the kind of competition at the 4 got a little bit better, Jay Crowder slowly started to kind of flounder a tad out here. So, obviously, I mean, this is no debate, folks. We shouldn't even brought that up. It's Giannis over Jay Crowder. It's just how much of an extent is Giannis better than Jay Crowder, and how much of an extent is Jay Crowder going to kind of get bodied by Giannis. But now we're also talking about a little bit of a hesitant Giannis, he just had an injury, doesn't want to have it get any worse, but he also wants to be out there. So how much does Jay Crowder kind of play into that and kind of just body him up? But I think we just have to overall give it to Giannis over Jay Crowder. So now we're at kind of 2-2 going into the 5, which once again is nothing great because it's tough here. Who are we calling better? Deandre Ayton or Brook Lopez, folks? Can we bring up Brook Lopez stats? Because this man has truly kind of been getting it done these last 2 games, but let's just kind of compare it to how he's been doing this entire playoff run. So let's go to Brook Lopez. Let's read off what he's been doing these last 2 games because they're great, folks. It's really freaking great. Game 5, like we said, 33 points and a plus 17 on the floor. And then just last night, a plus 25 on the floor, the most by far in the entire game. And obviously the entire Bucks team because they were the one that won. So well done to Brook Lopez. But let's just go through his totals here. Let's talk about points, and we'll do points and plus minus on the floor. We're going to start with the Heat and just go all the way down to last night. So we get 18 points, plus 6, 7 points, plus 13, 13 points, plus 15, 25 points, plus 22. And that was the Miami series. Now we're in the Brooklyn series. Here we go. 19 points, minus 8. 10 points, minus 15. 3 points, minus 2. 6 points, a 0. And 15 points, a plus 2. 8 points, a plus 12. And the Game 7, 19 points plus 2. So real kind of rocky in the beginning of that net series. And then finally was able to kind of get it going as Kevin Durant is so tired playing 45 minutes, as James Harden is starting to dwindle worse and worse and worse. Then he's finally able to kind of get it going at the back end of that net series. So once again, how great is that in the grand total? All right, now we got the Atlanta series, and this is what is so crazy about kind of his transformation in the series. Once again, Trae Young was picking this man apart in the high pick and roll in game number 1. He only put up 7 points, minus 14, and I think this was the least amount of minutes he played the entire playoffs, folks. He only played 20 minutes because they pulled him, they yanked him. They're like, "You're killing us out there. Stop it!" And once again, Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton can kind of run it as well, the high pick and roll as well as the Hawks did with Trae Young and Clint Capella. So that could be a huge advantage for the Suns come game 1, but we also know the Bucks locked it up for the rest of the series. So how far is Chris Paul and Deandre Ayton going to take the high pick and roll for how often, for how many games? Because the Hawks never were able to kind of get back to that solidly. Now that Mike Budenholzer has the blueprint to kind of stop that high pick and roll, does Chris Paul and Deandre Ayton even are they even able to affect that for even game one? For even one game. So we have to kind of see about that as well. But let's keep going here with Brook Lopez in his playoff totals here. So now we're at the Hawks game one. Like we said, 7 points, minus 14. But then we go 16 points plus 31 in game number 2. Jeez Louise. Then we get 10 points, a minus 17. 7 points, a minus 17. 33 points, a plus 17. And then 13, a plus 25. So really kind of hit and miss here by Brook Lopez. And now let's bring up Deandre Ayton. We know he's been having some great games. He had the game winner in game 2 against that Clipper series, real great. But then, like we said, we was kind of getting locked up by Zubac as well a little bit as the series progressed. So let's read Deandre Ayton's totals here. Let's start from series 1 all the way down to a couple nights ago. So here we go, 21 points, a plus 16. 22 points, a minus 5, 22 points, a minus 14. That's a little alarming, folks. Having 20 plus points and still being this kind of a minus. We know the team ended up losing in both these games, but still. All right, here we go. The Lakers, game 4 here. 14 points, plus 12, 8 points, a plus 25, 8 points, a plus 0. And that was the final game, game 6 against the Lakers. Now we're in the Denver series against Jokic. 20 points plus 13, 15 points plus 16, 10 points plus 18, and 12 points plus 15. But like we said, the entire team of the Suns were just kind of blowing out that Nuggets team. They didn't have that depth. It was just, Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. out there. Facundo Campazzo wasn't really doing that great in the playoffs, unfortunately, even though we kind of liked him a little bit in the regular season. So that Denver series is a little bit of an outlier, and let's see what he was doing here against the Clippers. Here we go. 20 points, a minus 7 game 1. Game 2, 24 points plus 4 on the floor. Game 3, 18 points, but a minus 25 and only a 14-point loss. That's a little yikes. Game 4, 19 points, a plus 8. Game 5, 10 points, a minus 22. And then game 6? 16 points, a plus 19. So Deandre Ayton, he has the opportunity just to score down low all day and tomorrow. We're talking great point totals here, where Brook Lopez, little kind of 50-50. We got 6, 7s, 9s, and then we got low 10s, and then we had the breakout games of 30, sprinkled in once, only once. So overall scoring wise, I think we have to give it to Deandre Ayton. And, we'll see if kind of Mike Budenholzer's scheme is able to kind of, once again, do what the Bucks did against the Hawks, the same that they can maybe do against the Suns. So I think I'm going to give the slight edge to Deandre Ayton over Brook Lopez. It's going to be real close, and it's going to go back and forth, but that's going to be kind of a 3-2 advantage, Suns over Bucks. But let's talk about their bench now. This Suns team, Cameron Payne, we can rely on him, folks. He is reliable when he's out on the floor. He's been getting less and less minutes. I kind of want to see him play like 20 plus minutes every single night, honestly. I don't want Chris Paul out there for 35, 40 plus minutes every single night. I would like to see Cameron Payne get some decent minutes out there to try and facilitate the floor. If they're getting down bad, have Cameron Payne come out and try to jumpstart this offense with the fast pace that he can run. So I like Cameron Payne. We got Torrey Craig, a great player out there. Once again, always reliable. Cameron Johnson, another great kind of shooting. And then Dario Saric, a great scoring big out there. So that's some great bench depth here for the Suns. I've got 4 reliable bench players on this Suns team. That's great. Now let's talk about this Bucks bench. We got Jeff Teague. Bryn Forbes is not reliable at all. I am totally 1,000% off this man, folks. This man is a fraud. And I'll prove it. Here we go. Let's bring up Bryn Forbes' stats real quickly. He had one great game in that Heat series. That was it. And he's gone ghost ever since. Let's bring up this game. What game was it? Actually, 2 games. He had 2 good games? Oh, game 2 against the Heat, 22 points on 6 of 9 from 3. Game 4 against the Heat, 22 points on 7 of 14 from the 3. That's when we were big on the man. But then he's gone ghost ever since then. 5 points, 10 points, 0 points, 10 points, 5 points, 2 points, 0 points, 5 points, 8 points, 3 points, 6 points, 3 points, 5 points. Trash! Trash! So, Bryn Forbes is a fraud, folks. Big old fraud. Get him out the game. I don't want to see this man get any minutes out here for the Bucks. All right. Then we get Bobby Portis, real solid out there. Pat Connaughton, real solid. I can rely on him. Jeff Teague. He hasn't really played that much. He just played last night. What did he do last night? Because he had a pretty solid game. 11 points. 11 points on, 60% shooting. So solid there, but overall I get more bench reliable pieces on the Suns than the Bucks. So I'm going to give that another kind of point for the Suns. So we've got 4 points compared to 2 points just kind of going along their roster. So let's just kind of wrap it up. Who do we think wins this series, folks? I'm going to take the Suns. Bucks were on my initial pick, but their lackluster threes in this playoffs. I mean, they were a great three-point shooting team overall in the regular season. Watching them in the playoffs have just been a headache. Really just kind of, scrawling and scratching against that net series, and kind of bailed out that James Harden wasn't 100%, and definitely bailed out that Kyrie Irving wasn't in the game, bailed out that Kevin Durant was playing every single minute, every single game, and just came up a little short in Game 7, literally this short of not having his foot on the line. So just overall, the Bucks kind of lucked out heavily, lucked out that Trae Young got injured, unfortunate. And I just can't rely on Chris Middleton, folks. 2 good games? Is that what we're going to go off of? That's what we're going to base the entire playoffs on? Chris Middleton having 2 good games? Calling him Batman? I don't think I can get behind Chris Middleton that much. It's been good. It's been real solid. I want to see everybody be absolutely fantastic every single night. But I can't get behind him having 2 great nights, and now we're calling him the savior of the Bucks. We got Chris Paul hungry as heck. Giannis is going to be hungry as heck as well, if he can play. We hope he does. Devin Booker, real solid production every single night. I mean, he's putting up 20 plus points every single night. Not always efficient, but then he'll have those breakout scoring games. You have one of those games early on. I mean, could you imagine Devin Booker going crazy game 1 here, and the Suns take game 1 big? That could just demoralize the Bucks right off the rip. We'll see. Credit to the Bucks, though. I mean, the Hawks blew them out kind of game 1, and they were able to win the series. So maybe that's not going to hold that much weight. Last thing to kind of say here, let's look up the kind of postseason stat leaders here. Defensive leaders, these 2 teams are the best defensive teams in the league, folks, in the playoffs. Suns at number 1 with only allowing 101 points a game, and the Bucks number 2 allowing 103 points a game. So defense wins championships, folks, and we're going to have a great defensive team win the championship this season. Field goal percentage, the Suns at 47%. Once again, there's so much more reliable scoring than I get with the Bucks. Where are the Bucks at here, folks? They're not even top 5. Bucks are the 8th best at 46% field goal percentage, folks. So once again, better with the Suns. Rebounds, the Bucks have it at 49 rebounds a game, and the Suns have it are at number 4 with 44. So once again, the Brook Lopez and Giannis truly getting it done. Point differential, the Suns are winning by 7 points a game. That's number 2 in the playoffs, and the Bucks are winning with 6 points a game, and that's number 4 in the playoffs. So once again, coming back to that reliable scoring with the defense. We can go. I want to see 3-point per shooting. Is 3-point percentage shooting? That's truly what I want to see with this Bucks. I want to see the total, because in the regular season, when I saw their playoff shooting totals, it was just like, really? They were shooting that much? I never really. We break down every single game every single day, and we were just like, we didn't really see that line up or add up with the overall season total. So let's see what the Bucks are shooting 3-point wise here. What is this? I don't want differential. I want. Here we go. All right, here we go. Where are the Bucks? Bucks 3-point percentage shooting in the playoffs, 31%. That's well below average, folks. Well below average. What do we get with the Suns? 37%. I mean, folks, that's really going to be the name of the game, folks. The 3-point percentage shooting. Who's going to be the better 3-point shooter and who's going to be the better defenders? Well, so far, we know the Suns are the number 1 defensive team in the postseason, and they have way better 3-point shooters in the postseason than the Bucks do. So I think we got to give it to the Suns, folks. Suns win the finals. What else do we get here? Let's see, turnovers per game. The Bucks have 12 turnovers a game, and the Suns have 11. Once again, Chris Paul better than Drew Holiday, better passers there on the Suns. So overall, what's personal fouls? Never mind. And then let's just do field goal percentage. Did we do that already? Oh, it's like 46 and 47, right? So overall, I'm giving it to the Suns, folks. I'm having the Suns win the NBA Finals. We'll call it in 6. Decently competitive, but overall, honestly, maybe even Suns in 5. I could see Suns in 5. A sweep? Potential? I don't see it. There is potential there. More likely, I would say Suns in 5, but I'm going to give the Bucks a little credit here, and I'll go Suns in 6, winning 4-2. So we have the Suns winning the NBA Finals, folks. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us today, folks. We're not going to do the divisional Packers Cardinals. We will save that for tomorrow. We'll get out of here a little early today. A little early. It's 4th of July. We'll get out of here a little early today. But yeah, just really wanted to kind of start breaking down the NBA Finals. It starts on Tuesday. We'll maybe kind of, do our last second thoughts on Monday and Tuesday as well. But for overall, we just laid it out. I think we did maybe like 30 minutes on it, folks. I got to go Suns over the Bucks in 6. The 3-point shooting, Chris Paul, Deandre Ayton, little limpy Giannis. I think he'll be out there. Maybe not for game 1. Maybe for game 1. Kind of 50-50 on that, but I think he will be out there for the majority of the games. But once again, the hesitancy doesn't want to go up that much. How is he looking? Hobbling up a little bit. Think that's going to play a big factor. Brook Lopez, can he be as dominant? Chris Middleton, can he be Batman every single game? He has to be Batman every single game, folks. There's no taking a game off here in the finals. Batman doesn't do that. Batman does not take any days off in Gotham City. If he did, Joker's running rampant. Can't have that. Can't have that for the citizens of Gotham, folks. Come on. I'm going Suns in 6.